Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And I think we can all agree that yesterday may have been the best game of the entire season for the Tennessee Volunteers. They're just a phenomenal game all around, really, against the Auburn Tigers, the Bruce Pearl led Auburn Tigers. Rustin, what were your immediate takeaways from what you saw yesterday?
Sorry, I just lost my notes all of a sudden. Let me pull them back up.
If
Well,
I
I
had
mean,
to guess, it's something Dalton Connect, something
yeah,
more
uh,
Dalton Connect.
yeah. The number one thing is we have Dalton Connect and they don't. Um,
Yeah.
that's a key. Um, I thought overall, not just Dalton. I mean, we scored 92 points, and yeah, Dalton had a big part in that, but we got good contributions from a lot of different guys. Jemai Meshack did a great job defensively on a couple of Auburn's best guards. Jordan Gainey gave us 7 points off the bench, including 4 at the free throw line. Tobe gave great minutes, 9 points, 5 rebounds off the bench. Um, you know, really was at times a workhorse down there, banging with Janai Broom, which is no easy task. Santi, I thought got a bad rep a few times. He had a couple of calls went against him that were just ridiculous, but he did a good job in crunch time guarding guys.
His fourth foul in particular was absurd.
Yeah, there was, you could say that about half the fouls that were called yesterday, but Josiah gave fantastic minutes, did all the little things defensively. He was an absolute pest. I don't think people realize. I bet if they went back and looked at the guys Josiah was guarding, I bet they didn't have but 4 or 5 points total between them. He just did a fantastic job. And then, like we always said, if we can get a third guy, Dalton and Zakai, I mean, it's become obvious. Dalton and Zakai are going to get theirs. We just need a third. And Jonas did a fantastic job, played great minutes. I thought they did a good job, even in the moments when Dalton was out. He got 7 minutes off the court. I thought even in those minutes, they did a really good job of being efficient, playing good defense, moving the ball offensively. It's nice to see that even in times when we have to take him off the court, we can still go make things happen. And it's again, I don't know if you realize this or not, but that's the first time all year anyone has scored 90 points on Auburn. So, when you go out and score 92 on a top 5 defense nationally, that's an impressive night.
Immediately, my initial thoughts and takeaways watching the first half, their defense was incredible. Tennessee's defense was absolutely incredible. I mean, they had like 2 steals in the first 2 minutes of the game. Just all over the place. Santi accounted for a lot of those. His defensive effort has been incredible. I will say that he needs to shoot the ball more. He's no longer looking for his shot. He's looking for a pump fake and a drive, which, I mean, that's fine. But if you have some space, you got to shoot the ball because he's a shooter. So he's got to do that more. That would be my only beef with Santi. Nobody can complain about his defensive effort right now.
Yeah.
That steal he had less than 2 minutes into the game where he deflects the pass, dives out of bounds, and saves it back inbounds. I mean, it was fantastic. So nobody can argue with his defensive effort right now. I loved the fact that multiple times somebody should go back. I don't have time to do it, but somebody should go back and just count how many times in the first half Auburn did not even begin their offense until there was less than 16 seconds left on the shot clock. There was one trip in particular, even Jimmy Dykes noticed it, and it got down to about 6 seconds left in the shot clock, and Jimmy Dykes said they haven't gotten the ball inside the 3-point line yet on this possession, and they had already had it for 24 seconds. I mean, like, somebody needs to go back and count them because that would be a fun stat to see how many possessions Auburn started their offense at 16 seconds or less in the shot clock. So that was cool. There was one moment, I can't remember if it was in the first half or the second half, But there was one moment where I think it was the first half. We went with a big lineup. You had Zakai running the point. Dalton was the 2 guard. Josiah was the 3, and then you had Tobey and Jonas both on the court. Dude, that is a beast of a lineup. That is a big old lineup, and I loved it. They were only out there like that because due to foul trouble for about 2.5, 3 minutes. That was it. And then at another point, we went way small, and we had Zakai, Jordan Gainey, Jemai, Dalton, and Tobey on the court at one point, which was like the complete opposite of that. It was very interesting to see some of the lineup mixtures, but I like that big lineup. And I mean,
I think it just speaks to their versatility, though. Like they've got so many interchangeable parts and so many guys who can play multiple spots. So they're not pigeonholed into any set lineups. They're not pigeonholed into any set style. I mean, even with those 5 guys you just said, they can still play fast with that group. I mean,
absolutely,
Jonas has no issue getting up and down the floor.
absolutely,
It's pretty incredible to watch.
100%. Some of the comments coming in here. Let's see here. Carl, hey, welcome, Carl. Good to have you, buddy. Carl said he's here. Bionic Clay, welcome. Nice to have you. So hello, Vol Bros and Vol family. I've been watching for a while now, and this is my first time watching the live stream. We're glad you're with us, man. Thank you so much for joining us. That's exciting. Carl said Dalton again. Thought Pearl schemed us well. It was interesting when they went to the zone. The only time I think that they didn't scheme us well was when they went to the zone, and Dalton just picked them apart. I mean, he just picked them apart. Let's see. Elijah said Josiah with 4 blocks, but he also needs to shoot more. Yeah, I mean, Josiah definitely brings a lot to the table, not just on the defensive end, or not just on the offensive end. Let's see. Brennan's with us. Welcome, Brennan. Good to have you, buddy. Carl said, I'm such a homer, I forgot the other teams have some elite players. And isn't that nice that now we can look at Tennessee and we forget that the other team has really awesome players on that team too, because we're playing so well. Elijah, welcome, Elijah. Good to have you, buddy. He said, genuine question. Do you think we lose the game if Zakai doesn't hit the 3 at the end of the first half? It seemed to give us so much momentum going into the second half.
When we're down by, what was it, 9 with 14 minutes left, 13 minutes left, and Superman just decides, okay, the game's over. I'm not sure that there is such a thing anymore as one possession momentum swings for us. There was definitely a time, especially the way Rick Barnes used to play games, when absolutely one shot could be the difference in a game. But I just don't think we're there anymore. I mean, Dalton scored 25 points in the final 12 minutes.
He outscored Auburn by himself, 25-21.
When you got a guy who can do that, and it was interesting after the game, Rick Barnes was asked about, what it was like watching that. And he said, if you're on the other sideline, it's a helpless feeling. Watching a guy that it just doesn't matter what you do, he's going to score. He said, I had it happen once before with J.J. Redick when he was at Texas. He talked about, Texas getting beat by Duke, and J.J. Redick caught fire, and he was like, there was nothing we could do. It was just, we're just going to watch and be amazed. And that's what they were dealing with last night. And it was funny watching all the Tennessee players, like every rebound, it was just, okay, how fast can we get Dalton the ball? Like, just get him the ball and get out of the way. Like, there were no set calls other than one play, which was my play of the game. But outside of, one set call, it was just everybody screen for Dalton and let's just get him the ball.
Yep. I loved what Cole Kubelik tweeted out last night. He said he and his son are watching the game, and his son says, I wish that Dalton hit a 3. And he said, I wish that guy was on our team. And he said, you ain't the only one, kid. It is a pleasure watching him play the game.
So I listened to Mac and Cube this morning for the sole purpose of seeing what they would say about the Auburn game. And all they talked about was Dalton Knepp for about 10 minutes, and then they immediately transitioned to the Alabama game and never came back to it. So it, it was clearly a sore spot that they just wanted to not dwell on.
Elijah, I think it's a great question, and I think that if we had sustained the lead for the entire second half, I think that you could look back on that one play and say, yeah, that was a big momentum swing. But I think the fact that we got actually down by 9 points, we lost the lead in the second half and got down by 9 points, and then had to fight back. And Dalton was just like, okay, we're going to win now. I think, that would be the only reason why I would say, it wasn't the game changing play. I think you could probably look at Dalton's first 3 when we were down 9 when they went to the zone and he immediately hit a 3. I'd say that you could probably make a case that that's the play of the game. Ricky Allison and I were talking earlier today, and Ricky said, that's probably the most important play of the whole game because that shot swung the momentum big time. And then Dalton was just like, okay, game over. Carl made a great point. Yes, as of last night, Santiago Vescovi now has 200 career steals as a Tennessee Volunteer. Tony said, hey, Tony, good to have you, buddy. He said, no need to discuss player of the game.
JP Estrella.
Absolutely, yes. You're right. I think we all know who it is, but we're definitely going to talk about him. Bonnet Clay said he agrees Zakai before the half was huge. Definitely a huge shot. I mean, every shot matters for sure.
Yep.
Elijah said he loved the big lineup as well. He said we do a set with it that I really like when Dalton sits in the paint and he gets to choose where the ball goes. Let's see.
Rick Barnes calls that money. He's run it forever. The 2 post players are just glorified screeners, and their sole job is to just get Dalton open. The one wrinkle he did last night that I thought was ingenious, though, I've never seen him put both screeners on the same side. He wanted to open up even more space for Dalton, so he moved both screeners to one little small part of the corner of the court and, allowed Dalton to just pick and choose wherever he wanted to go. And it caused the entire defense to suck into a small space, which created a ton of open space for Dalton to run free. I've watched Rick Barnes run money for 30 years, and I've never seen him do that with it. That was a new wrinkle. So it was cool to see that even somebody who's done literally the same thing. I mean, he used to run that for Kevin Durant almost every possession. Somebody who's run that forever decide, we can mix it up a little bit. We can do something different with it.
Doug said, hey, Doug, good to have you, buddy. He said, I know per the rules, Dalton can't have his number hung in the rafters. Do you think this rule needs to be relaxed? I think if he wins National Player of the Year, you might see that rule change. You're not gonna hang the jersey of the only guy in your team's history to win National Player of the Year. So if that happens, then we might see it happen. A little bit of changes coming.
Haven't had many SEC Player of the Years. I mean, that's
true.
That's a small group of people.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of rules around rafters and banners and jerseys that are going to change because of the transfer portal era. I mean, it's just a different time now.
I think you're exactly right. And you said the 2 most important words there, transfer portal. It's changing everything, including potentially those rules. You're right. I think that's an excellent take. Carl said, I noticed if Sakai turned the ball over, he would come immediately back with his hair on fire. Sakai had quite a few little turnovers in the first half. We had some sloppy possessions on offense, and kudos to their defense for making it, difficult on us. But yeah, there were definitely some stuff that we could have cleaned up a little bit in the first half. Thankfully, our defense was equally as on fire. Let's see, Devin. Hey, welcome, Devin. Good to have you, buddy. He said 5th-year seniors didn't have a huge night, but the rebound and putback for Santi was awesome to see. And Josiah on the defensive end was clutch when needed. Totally agree. 100% agree. That's an excellent take. Backflip Spaghetti, welcome, bud. He said, howdy, I see bear hugs are legal now. Okay, so if nobody knows what Backflip Spaghetti is talking about, I invite you to go back and watch the last 5 minutes of the game and watch Dalton when he was off the ball. So when he is trying to get open. What's the guy's name? Azabeka something. I can't remember. That guy, he was literally bear hugging Dalton. Um, had his arms completely around him as he was trying to get open and off of screens, and it was not called. There was one time in the first half that it was called that I'm going to talk about here in a little while. Bonnet Clay said he was giving DK some love. Yeah, there it is. That's a good call right there. Good take. Let's see. Elijah said Cam Carr was his player of the game, even though he didn't play. Let's see. Elijah said, "What is that rule about the banners? I didn't know there was one."
So
Go
I
ahead.
saw that he asked that question, so I pulled up the exact criteria. So the biggest issue is it says you have to play your entire career at Tennessee, which in the transfer portal era, that's, I mean, the odds of that happening are slim and none. So,
sure.
So that part of the rule is going to have to change. But it says you have to have played your entire career at Tennessee and had one of four things happen. So basically, entire career at Tennessee and one of these other items: first team All American, SEC Player of the Year, make an Olympic team, or make an NBA roster. So you have to have played your entire career there and meet one of those other criteria. So, which is interesting that National Player of the Year isn't one of them. SEC Player of the Year is. So
that shows the standard that we had in mind as
yeah.
we're making those rules.
So I mean, he's definitely going to be SEC Player of the Year. So technically, and he's also going to end up on an NBA roster. He might even make All American.
I was about to say he's probably also going to be first team All American.
Yeah. So he's going to achieve at least three of the other criteria, but the main one that's mandatory is play your whole career there. So, you know, they're going to have to change the rules.
Yeah, Elijah agrees with us. He says he's going to get three of the four of them.
Yeah.
Carl said Dalton Connect Award, 1 year player with greatest impact. There you go. Working the system, baby. Creating a new rule. I like it. A new award.
So that picture you were the issue you were talking about, Baker Mazzara, there's actually still shots. People took still shots of him on a couple of possessions where he literally has both arms completely around Dalton in the middle of the open floor. Like Dalton's trying to go run around the screen and he's literally got both arms completely around him.
Yes, 100%. Tony said Dalton got in the groove much like Caitlin Clark does most every game. I think that's an excellent analogy. Absolutely. Yep. I think that is an excellent analogy.
All the people today that are calling for Dalton and Caitlin Clark to procreate and send their children to Tennessee have been quite fun to watch online.
I hadn't seen that. That's pretty funny.
There's a bunch of them. There's even people who have gotten some of those apps where you can blend people's faces, and they have put side by sides of Dalton and Caitlin and blended them into one and been like, there's UT class of 2052.
Those kids could shoot, man. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Let's see. Elijah said, "Did you guys see the shot chart difference of Edie and Connect? It's wild." Yeah, it's pretty wild. I agree. Okay, well, all right. So that's a good segue. Let's use that. That's a really good segue. We're going to do player of the game first because I think we all know who we're both going to pick. We haven't officially told each other who it is yet, but I'll be shocked if we don't know who it is. And then we'll do play of the game last. So let's use that. Let's use this comment. Did you guys see the shot chart difference to lead into? Whoa, hey Carl, you the man. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you, Carl. I appreciate that, buddy. You were the man. Carl with a $20 super chat there. That's incredible. So let's do our player of the game. Rustin, who was your player of the game last night?
I thought JP Estrella gave fantastic minutes, especially the two times when he dribbled the ball off his knee. No, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. We might have watched. It's kind of incredible, actually. You know, last game we talked about we may have watched the best point guard performance in Tennessee history in a single game. And last night we may have watched the best single performance in Tennessee history in a
Absolutely.
game. So
Absolutely.
it's wild that in back-to-back games we would have two performances like that. I hope that means that we're peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
That things have all come together. We're healthy, guys are fresh, and the things they've been working on, impressing on these guys are all coming to fruition at the right time. Talking about that Zach Edey shot chart, the one thing that doesn't show up on that shot chart that I heard today that just blew my mind. Do you know that he has scored 34% of his points this year at the free throw line?
Wow.
34% of his total points at the free throw line.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I don't care how big he is. I don't care how good he is. He's clearly getting calls. Like nobody who is averaging 20 points a game scores 34% of them at the free throw line. Like you have to be taking an obscene amount of free throws to even get close to that. Like
Yep.
there
Absolutely.
is so much wrong with that stat.
Elijah said his player of the game was easy choice, Cam Carr. Let's see. Backflip Spaghetti said Dalton. Evan, yeah, well, Evan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, I'm not looking forward to Saturday.
I'm
I
not
mean,
either.
yeah, that is going to be a tremendous basketball game on Saturday.
It's
Uh,
college game day. It's, the
a night
primetime
game.
game. Like that place is going to be chaos.
Oh,
And
for sure.
that's the one when we talked about this 4-game stretch, I said 3-1, and that's the one I felt like we weren't probably going to get. If they go in there and win, whoa, that will
Yeah.
be an impressive win.
Carl said Dalton was his player of the game. Absolutely. Zach said, hey, Zach, good to have you, buddy. He said Dalton, player of the game. Let's see. Bionic Clay said Bruce Pearl. Seriously, though, it's Dalton. Let's see. Devin, I'm not sure what you're referring to, buddy. I'm sorry. I was behind on the comments. He said, absolutely agree with that statement. Well, I'm glad you agree with us. I'm glad we said something that was good. So I'd love to know what it was, though. If you can put that in the comments, that'd be great. Elijah asked a good question. We're going to come back to that in a second. Evan said we will have to score 105 to win on Saturday night. Evan speaking in reference to Alabama. He said their defense has been garbage.
Yeah, but in their last 5 games, they've scored 103, 95, 98, 100, and 109. So 105 is possible. I mean, that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, for sure. He's saying that he agrees with that Edey gets the calls.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime any of our players try to, play decent defense, Edey got the call. Absolutely.
Still
Zach
is.
said, Zach said, we said the same thing about Auburn, that it'd be a tough game. I mean, it was a tough game.
There's a very different comparison. I said we would beat Auburn. I said it would be a tough game, but I said we won't lose at home. I said we would go 3-1 and we would lose at Alabama.
So I almost got the score perfect, almost, for last night. I told Jordan Thompson, he can verify this if he's watching. I told him, because he was there last night. So he told me he was going to be up there. I said 95-92 Tennessee. That was my prediction. Man, I was close. I was pretty close. Pretty close. All right. Let's see. Devin said, big game this weekend. From here on out, we have big games. No doubt. No doubt about it. The last 5 games of the season are just a gauntlet. I mean, just a gauntlet. And they have handled the first 2 of those 5 incredibly well. Jared said Dalton and Zakai both were his players in the game. There's where Devin was explaining to us. It was about that. Let's see. Tony's already given us the play of the game. I'm going to start, Tony. I'll come back to it because we'll do plays in the game here in a second. Elijah, I agree with your statement here. He said 3-1 in the last 4 games of the season would get us the last 1 seed.
Yep.
I agree with one caveat. I think that if we go 4-0, we can lose the first game in the SEC tournament and still get the 1 seed. However, I think that if we go 3-1, if we lose the first game in the SEC tournament and Arizona wins their tournament, then we get bumped down to a 2 seed in Arizona. But I think in order for that to happen, Arizona has to win their tournament, their conference tournament. If they don't, I think that we end up with that 4th seed. I think that's going to be the determining factor. I could be totally wrong, but I think that's what's probably going to end up happening. Let's see. Zach said we're going 4-0. I love it, baby. Yeah. I hope we do. I hope we go 4-0. Elijah said with a win or two in the SEC tournament, we would definitely get that 100%. Yes. If they make it to the semifinals in the SEC tournament, we're a 1 seed. I mean, that's the way it's going to go down. Zach said it's simple. We're going to get a 1 seed because we're not going to lose. So my player of the game was also, big shocker, Dalton Connect. I love. Sure? I was close one, but I think I'm going to go him. I absolutely loved the video that Tennessee's social media team put out this afternoon with Dalton's playing a video game, because he legitimately had video game numbers. Let's listen to these numbers. I'm just going to give you 2, and this is I cannot fathom this. One player, one guy, scored 39 points. So clearly he wasn't taking just 1 or 2 shots to get these kind of numbers. He shot 57.1% from the field.
Yeah.
And even more impressively, he shot 62.5% from 3. What? What? 62.5% from 3. No one does that. Like that. What is that? I mean, that is insane. That is crazy. And Jared just said anyone who can single-handedly beat a team in the last 12 minutes of a close game deserves to be a player. Absolutely. By himself, he outscored Auburn 25-21 in the last 12 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the player of the game because he beat literally the whole other team. It's just the 3-point percentage of 62.5.
Well, as a team,
crazy.
we were 53%. I mean, as a team, they shot the ball well.
So that means that if we were 53% as a team, that was from 3.
Yep.
So that means that everybody else combined was 44%, and Dalton was 62 and brought it up to 53. But 44 is still good. Absolutely. If you're shooting over 40, you're doing well.
Yeah. As a team, we shot 51% from the field.
I mean, just absolutely mind-boggling performance to shoot 62.5% as a single individual from 3 in a game. That's crazy, man. That is absolutely crazy. It's video game numbers, and that's why I'm glad they made that little video game video. If you haven't seen it, go check out Tennessee basketball social media and watch the video. It's hilarious what they did. It was very well done. Some of the other comments. Oh, go ahead.
Now, what's ridiculous is there were a total of 45 fouls called and 63 free throws taken, which should never happen.
There was about a 5-7 minute stretch there in the second half where it was just absurd. I mean, like both coaches were going crazy. I loved how they got on the broadcast. They got zoomed in on Rick Barnes telling the official, that's a foul. That's a foul. That was great. And then my favorite part of the whole night, though, with Dalton, he hit that back-to-back possessions. He had that 3 right in Broom's face. And then the next possession, he kind of took he raised up with that little hesitation dribble like he was going to go up again. So Broom came up on him and he just went right past him and threw it down two-handed. That was incredible. And my favorite call of the night was after he hit that three in Broom's face. Ron Hart saying, "The scouts have closed their notebooks. They've seen enough." That's awesome, man. What a great call. I love it. What a great call.
The best part of that dunk, if you watch it back, the offside guard, who should have been the help guard, who should have helped on Dalton when he blew by Janai, is standing there like this. He literally has his hands out. And he's just like, he's not doing anything. He's standing still watching Dalton go by with his hands like this. And you can see it. There's pictures of it. They've caught it and still shotted it, and it's floating around. But he's literally just standing next to the free throw line with his hands in the air like, what am I supposed to do?
Carl said Awaka and Adu played well.
Yep.
Adu was hitting some critical shots in the first half. I 100% agree with that. When Jonas was stepping out and showing some range towards the top of the key there, that was huge. I mean, that gives the defense a whole other thing they have to guard now.
Yeah.
And so that was huge, pulling them away from the goal so it's easier to get offensive rebounds for Tobe. I mean, that was a big deal. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Tony said, if we got a 1 seed, unfortunately, 1 seeds haven't done too well recently in the tournament. That's a fair point. Absolutely. Every year is different for sure. Last year was crazy, and I don't think we'll ever have a year like, maybe we will, but I don't know if we'll ever have a year like last year ever again. That was wild. I mean, it was March Madness for sure. Zach, he said he has a surprise play of the game waiting on us. I do too, Zach. I don't think anybody's going to expect what I'm going to say.
Bruce is technical.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I get it, Elijah. Elijah said it might sound weird, but I kind of want to drop one of the last few games before the tournament. Don't want to go into the tournament on a massive win streak.
Yep.
I get that. Then the pressure mounts like, oh, no, they hadn't lost in however many games. I get it.
Well, it's also good to have a night where you don't have success and you got to refocus and get a little, recentered about what you're doing. The worst thing can happen. The worst thing happens, they have 3 or 4 just insanely good games and they start reading their press clippings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mino,
like you said, she's sneaking in late here. She said Dalton was her play of the game. He took total control of the game. Absolutely. Zach said he almost got 40. Almost. He got to make a free throw, man. Just had to make one of the free throws that he missed.
Yep.
And that was one thing I would be interested to see. I don't have these numbers in front of me, but I'd be interested to see our numbers from the free throw line in the first half compared to our numbers from the free throw line in the second half. Because in the first half, I felt like we only missed 1 or 2 as a team.
Yep. First half 14 of 15. Second half 13 of 20.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There was definitely a change in that in the second half. You could feel it watching the game. And so thank you for that. I appreciate it. So if there's anything to take away from the game that should potentially be concerning, it's that you missed almost half of your free throws in the second half. Like, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's when games are won and lost in March, is when you're making free throws down the stretch. So we gotta be able to hit those at the end there. Like you said, Dalton's going to get 40 on Saturday. I hope so. Bionic Clay said Dalton might hit 40 at some point this season. I hope so. Absolutely. Sam, welcome, bud. You make a great point. He said DK shoots almost the same percentage from 3 as he does from the free throw line.
Yeah. He's now I'm actually looking at those numbers right now. He's now at 77% at the free throw line on the year, and he's 41% from 3.
So for him, that has to be better than 77%. Like, that's just the bottom line there.
One interesting thing that happened last night, for the first time all season, Jonas passed Zakai for second leading scorer. So Dalton is first with 20.8, Jonas is second with 12, and Zakai's third with 11.
Elijah said he did that last night, 39 points against the top 5 defense, which is crazy. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah said there were 18 fouls in 8 minutes during the second half.
Yeah,
100% believe that. It was constant.
There was 45 for the game. Like, there's only 40 minutes in the game, so they're literally calling more than a foul a minute.
Evan said there's been a few games this year where the foul count was crazy high, kills the flow of the games. Not a fan. And that's just SEC officiating. And the thing is that what's frustrating about it is they're not calling things that should be called, and they are calling things that are absurd that shouldn't be called. And we saw that last night. Prime example: Santiago Vescovi's fourth foul, and the whistle probably very heavily favored Tennessee in the first half because there was some stuff that we did that we should have been called for that didn't get called.
I thought Jonas, there was a play in the first half where he caught a ball at the free throw line and he went up to hammer dunk it with his left hand. And, the defender got mostly ball and they let it be a block and let it play on. But I thought he got the most contact possible with his body and that it should have been something. And they just let it play on. It's like, our guy just went up for a dunk and ended up on the floor after he got a full body block. Like, it doesn't matter that the dude got his hand on part of the ball. He also got all of the player. And they just didn't, and then we get to the second half and it's like a hand check gets called and you're going, what just happened?
Right. Absolutely. Oh, let's see. So I missed a comment from Michael earlier. Hey, Michael, it's good to have you, buddy. I'm glad you're with us. He said the refs must have got a talking to at the half. Announcers kept saying how physical the game was in the first half, but it seemed like it changed 180 degrees in the second half, and they called the slightest touch. Absolutely. Totally agree. Michael's a good friend, so I'm glad he's with us. Let's see. Devin. So Devin's given his play of the game, so I'm going to star that one, come back to it. Backflip Spaghetti gave his play of the game. I'll come back to that. Carl said on that play at the end of the game there with Santi getting the rebound and the putback layup, he said he thinks he got the rebound so cleanly because Auburn was shocked that Dalton missed. Backflip Spaghetti said,
So I thought he got fouled on that. And I thought, so next year he'll get that call. That's an NBA shot where you feel a guy reach in, you got his hand on your arm and you just go up and flail and get the call and get 3 shots. Honestly, I thought he out thought SEC officials.
You're talking about Dalton, not Santi.
Right. I thought that absolutely should have been a foul. He should have had 3 shots, and I think he caught the officials napping. I don't think they realized, oh, wait, that's an NBA reach-in call. Next year, he'll get that call every time he does it.
So I like Backflip Spaghetti's plan here. We're going to win the conference outright. We're not going to lose. We're just going to win it straight out. Then we're going to drop a game in the conference tournament, preferably the semifinals.
Yeah.
And then we're going to win the national championship. I'm cool with that. I approve that message. I mean, that would be pretty good. If they did that, that'd be pretty good. Elijah said, got to think we're on a 5-game win streak. So we went out and win the SEC tournament. We'll be on an 11-game win streak going into March. Let's see. Michael Cook said, anybody else getting nervous when Gainey enters the game? I feel he's either draining threes or carelessly driving the ball into a double team. Well, that's fair.
I'm not
he's
nervous.
Definitely playing better now.
I'm not nervous when he's the 2 guard. I don't like him. I don't like him at the point. I don't think he's a point guard. I don't think he has any business playing point. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago or last week. He has to play the point from time to time because Freddie DeLeon hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
As soon as Freddie DeLeon shows up and they can play him some more at the point, then Gainey can just stay at the 2, which is where he's clearly most comfortable.
Sam said it's going to be tough to beat the home whistle at Bama. We're going to need everyone to beat them. This will be a huge game for Jonas and Tobe.
Yeah,
totally agree. 100% agree. Zach said he agrees with Michael. Gainey reminds him of Tyreek Key. All hype, not much to back it up. That's actually probably a pretty good comparison because Tyreek had a few games last year where he just controlled the game. And Jordan's had a couple games this year where he's played really, really well. Both play pretty good defense. So
he's our number 5 scorer right now.
Yep. Sam said, I thought a couple of the calls on Jonas should not have been a foul as he was within the vertical space. His
Correct.
vertical space. 100%. Absolutely agree. And he felt the same way. You could tell. The way he
Oh,
reacted to some of them.
there was one play where he literally didn't move. He just kept his hand straight up, and Janai Broom just turned around, took a turnaround jumper into him, and he literally didn't. He didn't flinch. He just stood there and took the contact, and they called a foul on him. And he's like, "What in the world am I supposed to do?" Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even attempt to block the shot. I just stood here. He jumped into me, and you're calling a foul? Like, what? Do I just get out of the way and let him make the layup? Like, is that the deal?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable watching some of the stuff SEC officials call.
I love this comment from Evan. Evan is an Alabama fan, just so everybody knows. And we're glad he's with us watching the Vol Bros. He said the refs usually don't like Nate Oates.
Actually, he said the refs don't usually like oats, so he could be referring to oatmeal.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Zach said Dalton will have 45 at Bama. Mark it down. Hey, I love it, Dalton. I mean, Zach. Let's make it happen, buddy. Let's make it happen. Let's Dalton's getting 45. I'm all about it. Hey, Zach almost totally predicted a score earlier this year. I think it was basketball too. And he did that almost in a football season too. So so let it be written. So let it be done. I love it.
Nate Oates is a lot like Bruce Pearl. He likes the run and jump. I don't think we'll see Dalton have an opportunity to score 45. I think they will run a bunch of scramble defense where every time Dalton gets the ball, they'll immediately sprint somebody at him to trap, force him to give it up. This is actually going to be a game where Jonas, Tobe, Josiah, Santi, Zakai, like they're all going to have, 8 to 12 points because they're all going to get a lot of touches and a lot of shots.
Zach said, you can call me Dalton. I'm cool with that. Carl said, really feel like Dalton's player of the year, but believe there is Tennessee negative bias, such as Peyton Manning, Johnny Majors, national media in the world's against us.
Yeah.
It is rather shocking. It is rather shocking that here he is having, objectively, at least the worst you could say is the second best season of anyone in the entire country. And the only person you really hear from national media over and over and over is Zach Edey. When you have a much more versatile player in Dalton Connect, who can legit play pretty much in any position on the court. I mean, he's played 1 through 4 already this season. He played 1 through 4 last night in one game. So, I mean, like extremely versatile player, incredible score. I mean, yeah. Like you said, there is bias against that for sure. Zach said he had 39 last night. He could have had more. He could have if he had made his free throws. He could have.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen Saturday because they're not going to let him get the shot. Like they're going to force him to pass every time he touches the ball. And, if we do a good job moving the ball, then we should get a bunch of layups and dunks because Bama's going to be scrambling behind the trap. But they're going to make everybody else score. They're not going to let him take shots.
So Elijah said it's so funny how people are putting RJ Davis over Dalton. Yeah, that's just absurd if they're doing that. I mean, like there's no way. There's just no way that he's better than this year. Zach said you're wearing red. Oh man.
It's actually pink and navy if we want to be technical. It's pink with a navy pinstripe.
Evan said the SEC gets too much love in football, so they're giving awards to everyone else in lesser sports. Okay, so I do want to mention something about that came out today. This shocked me, and there's no way this will ever go over well. But one of the new proposed models for the college football playoff is a 14-team model, and one of the models that's being pushed the most for that has the Big Ten champion and the SEC champion being the only two teams that get first round automatic buys. And I'm like, there's no way in the world that would ever go over and be voted on. I mean, like, there's no way that would ever get approved.
Did you hear how it started?
No, but there's no, I don't care how it started. There's no way. How did it start?
It started with, so Mac and Cube spent a lot of time talking about this morning, and they had a couple of national media people who were actually at NCAA headquarters covering these meetings. And it actually started with them saying, not only did the Big Ten and the SEC each get an automatic bid for the champion, but they each automatically got 4 spots.
Each or total?
Each. Big Ten and
that they can't do that.
Oh, hold on. So to be gracious, the Big Ten and SEC said, no, we'll only take 3, give 1 more to the Big 12 and 1 more to the ACC. So the way it was originally laid out, it was 4 Big 10, 4 SEC, 1 ACC, 1 Big 12, and 2 Group of 5s.
You think people see the writing on the wall? There's only going to be 3 conferences soon.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They were preparing.
Exactly what it sounds like.
That's what it was. They were preparing for the ACC not existing. That's what they were really doing.
Evan said the Big Ten SEC is analogous to the NFC AFC.
Yep. And so
Zach said he loves you, Rustin.
Yeah. So to be gracious,
too,
the SEC and the Big Ten gave away 1 spot each. But here's the funny part. So like Pete Thamel was on Mac and Cube this morning, and he was like, should the Big 12 get 2 spots? He was like, can we name 2 teams that every year out of the Big 12 should be guaranteed spots in the playoff? Like he was kind of saying
Oklahoma and Texas left.
He was kind of saying it probably should stay 4-4, and then here's everybody else. Like,
that's very interesting. Elijah's saying that Dalton was 10 of 12 on free throws last night, so it's better than what he has been. That's true. Sam said Tennessee needs to get physical, dominate the inside, and get them in foul trouble against Alabama, because Alabama's going to try and speed up the game, drive into contact. They're going to pressure the ball. Absolutely. Carl said another big could take out Edey. Think Dalton can manage shots over 2 as well as 1.
Hey, I'm totally good if we run into Purdue. If Tobey wants to be this, or JP Estrella, either one, if they want to be the sacrificial lamb and go out there and take a swing, you know, if Zach Edey retaliates, we got 2 ejections and we win. Somebody's got to do it.
Welcome to the Vol Bros, everybody.
I guarantee you, at some point this season, that is going to happen.
Well, let's do our play of the game.
Every coach in America has that in their in the back pocket. Like that is everybody. Everybody has their enforcer. They've got their kid that's got 5 fouls to give, and it's like you decide to get thrown out of this game, and you take him with you. We'll take that trade.
We'll get you a Dairy Queen Blizzard after the game.
Oh, there's an NIL deal with a fight club or a CrossFit facility or something in that town waiting on that one. I'm not gonna name names, but Evan Myrick will probably figure out who it was. When I coached basketball, we had a player that had 5 fouls to give, and he knew his job was to get in the other team's best player's head, and if that dude happened to throw a punch, oh well. We'll make that trade.
It's a first-class show around here at the Vol Bros.
It's part of the game.
I like Sam.
Exactly.
Said Rustin says, "Where's Plavsic?"
Hey, he had a role. Everybody has a purpose.
Evan said that player's name rhymed with roster.
He is correct. Told you he'd know. That
That
player
is a
he's
hashtag
talking about,
hockey.
that player he's talking about right now, we were in the region championship one year, and the other team had a kid that could just light it up. And we literally played 4-on-4, and we told the kid that he just named, your job is to stay face to face with him the entire game until he punches you. And he did. It was amazing. Kid didn't score. Finally, got 2 technicals on him in the second quarter and got thrown out. But he didn't play basketball the entire game. He literally got right here in that kid's face and just ran around the court with him right here the whole first half till he finally took a swing. It was beautiful. We won the region championship by 20.
Greenway, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, I've been lurking, had to pop in and say, wow, to that take. I love it. Carl said, great playing, Rustin. He likes it too.
You gotta find ways. Gotta be creative. Carl just said right after Evan what it was. We used to call him Hatchet Man. Absolutely. Everybody has a Hatchet Man.
Zach said he was hoping that they do that last time they played Purdue.
Yeah.
So for the plays of the game,
Bill Aimbeer and Dennis Rodman made careers out of it.
Well, you're exactly correct. Yes, that's exactly right. That is 100%
That was their
accurate.
sole purpose for existing.
You know, like you said, future play of the game. Oh, that's the best comment of the night so far. I like that. So Rustin, what was your play of the game? And then I'll give mine. Mine's going to be really weird. But what was yours?
So I was conflicted because when it happened, I had one because I love the call. But then post game, when Jimmy Dykes and Tom Hart were interviewing Dalton, they asked him a question, and a lot of people missed it because ESPN went on to the other game, and unless you watched the playback later, you didn't see this interview. They talked about how Dalton showed up at the gym at 10:30 the night before, and Jimmy Dykes said, "What were you doing? What were you working on?" And Dalton said, "Well, I know they play a lot of drop coverage, and I knew I'd get a lot of hard hedges off a screen, so I was working on hesitation threes, backing off the screen and then attacking once the screener left." And I mean, he let the world into his thought process on the fly when he's trying to figure out what to do. But we saw it happen multiple times in that game. Like the things he was talking about were part of it. But the next step off of that hesitation three is a hesitation, kind of pause, act like you're going to pull up for the three, and then blow right by the dude, which is what he did to Janai Broom on that dunk. So during the game, my play of the game, because Rick Barnes doesn't call a whole lot of set plays. That's not his thing. He's more of a free flow, read and react kind of guy. But the play that they ran in the second half where Jonas popped out real quick, they fed the post, and then Dalton went back door for the dunk. That was not two players just making a great play. That was a set call.
And it was beautiful.
It was perfect timing. They called it exactly when they should have. So that was my play of the game when it was happening. After the game, hearing Dalton say that he had been working on that hesitation move the night before at 10:30 and then seeing it live on that dunk, that kind of shifted my mind to, no, that was impressive.
So he did both of those things you just said. That first three over Broom, he gave a little, hesitation pull up and shot it, right in front of him. And then he faked the shot and drove past him on the second one. So he did both of those exact things in those moments. Waving off the screeners and everything. It was great. My play of the game. So y'all know I like to give a few. So my number 3 play, this is going to be the most awkward top play of the game moment I've ever had on this show.
Bruce Pearl's technical.
Nah, wasn't that one. The number 3 was a back-to-back sequence. Number 2 was a back-to-back sequence. So number 3 was the Auburn comes down and goes zone. First possession down the court when they're in zone, Dalton hits a 3. He starts in the left-hand corner, comes across, motions to the middle, doesn't get the pass, motions out to the wing, gets the pass, hits a 3. The very next possession is the play you just talked about, the backdoor cut, dunk. So back-to-back possessions, back-to-back Dalton scores. That was my number 3 play of the game. My number 2 play of the game was the back-to-back possessions, just schooling Broom. I mean, on an island. First the shot over him that just brought the house down, and then if that wasn't good enough, the 2-hand drive to the rim and he slams home. Man, I mean, that was just, oh my goodness, it was amazing. But my number 1 play of the game, people are going to be like, what in the world are you talking about? So everybody, when we finish this live stream, everybody needs to go back to the 4-minute 36-second mark in the first half. So it was the most obscure little thing. And I was like, why did that happen? So I went back and I watched it 2 or 3 more times, at least twice. I think 3 more times after it, just to verify that what I thought I had seen actually did happen. And it did. So we brought the ball down the court. This is how lame my play of the game is. It was an off-ball foul. That's how lame my play of the game is. We brought the ball down the court. The ball is on the the right wing. Dalton is on the left wing. Dalton goes down to the block to get set up for a screen. As he's going down there, he gets to the block, and the dude guarding him, I can't remember, as Becca, whatever his name is, he slams his body into Dalton. I mean, just a cheap shot, just to say, hey, I've got you. I know you, I'm here, kind of thing. Just slams his body into him, like pretty hard. And Dalton standing there like this with his hands up, saying, I'm not doing anything in reply, but you can go back and watch him. At the 4-minute 36-second mark, Dalton turns around and looks at the referee. And I so wish there had been a camera on the other side of the court so we could see what he says to him. But he turns around and looks at the referee, I'm assuming to alert him as to what just happened, and just tell him he's about to hold me or he's about to foul me again. And the play starts, and Dalton runs a little curl around, I think it was Tobey. The guy reaches up, grabs Dalton's jersey and holds on to him, spinning around, and immediately the ref calls a foul at the 4-minute 31-second mark. So in the middle of the play, Dalton turns around, tells the ref he's about to foul me or something like that, or watch him or something like that. And 5 seconds later, Dalton gets a call from that exact ref. The reason that's my play of the game is because that shows how much respect the officials have for Dalton Connect. There's probably only one other guy in the country, and that'd be Zach Eady, who can look at a ref and say, hey, he's going to foul me. You better watch this or something. And they actually pay attention and watch. Instead of the ref getting offended by that and ticked off, like, just, play the game or don't tell me how to do my job or something. He actually watches the player who just talked to him, and 5 seconds after he turned around and told him something, he called a foul on behalf of that player. That right there was my play of the game, because that shows the level of respect Dalton has from the officials, at least in the SEC. Which is another reason why in the second half, Dalton's driving to the lane and the ball gets hit away from him. And instead of saying, oh, they just hit out of bounds, they immediately, without hesitation, call a foul. Because if they're like, that Connect guy, if he lost control of the ball, he must have been fouled, because that's how much they respect him. It wasn't even like a analysis of like, no, it was like, oh, something's happening, boom, foul on the other guy. Dalton's going to the line. That's the level of respect he has among the officials. That is a huge, huge deal. Very, very few players have that authority on the court with the officiating staff, officials. So that was my play of the game, because I think that as March goes on, that level of respect that officials have for Dalton is going to benefit Tennessee in a positive way for the rest of the season. So that is my play of the game. Ricky. So Ricky, he's told me this in the past. Ricky has a little game he likes to play. Ricky likes to show up on our live streams and make an outlandish statement in the comments just to see if he can make me laugh before I put it on the screen, because he likes to watch me as I'm reading through them, and he knows when I see his if I laughed or not. So a minute ago, he joined and said, "What are you Vol bozos talking about?" Well, actually, Ricky, I mentioned you earlier in the show.
Yep.
I talked about how we were talking about this very thing earlier. Ricky heard my play of the game earlier today, and so Ricky, I told everybody that your play of the game was the first three in that 8-minute stretch there where Dalton beat everyone. I told everybody that your that first trip down the court in zone and Dalton hit the three was your play of the game. And I said, that's probably the most momentum swinging play. And so he
Don't let
did
him
that.
lie
And
to you. That's not what he said. He said that you were talking about Tennessee blowing the lead and that you were still ranting about the NCAA holding Bruce accountable for his barbecue and that you were a closet Barner.
and I was Joe Milton's biggest fan. And so he posted that on there and he saw me laugh at it and smile. And so he immediately said, ha, like that, like he got me. And so then Ricky just said, everyone, after I just explained my play of the game, Ricky said, everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Yep.
Award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. So that was from a TV show, and I'm trying to remember what or movie.
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. That's it. Yeah. That's what I knew it was from something on film. So that was a good one. Yeah, I'm fan. I don't say movies.
Do you have reels at your house?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So some of the other folks, their plays of the game. Tony was the first one to give us this play. He said DK taking Broom to the basket and slamming it with authority. I have not yet heard Bert's call on that. I think I need to go listen to it.
So he gets real excited and he just starts screaming. He said something like "Talk to me, Dalton" or something like that. Yeah, there were multiple times Bert got a little too carried away last night, and I have a feeling the Vault Network had to have a closed doors meeting with Bert this morning about a few things that he said on air.
Devin said his favorite play was when Broom tried to cover Dalton and Dalton slammed it past. So he had the same one that Tony did. Backflip Spaghetti said his play of the game was Dalton slam. And I'm assuming it's the second one where he drove past. You can let me know for sure, Backflip Spaghetti, but because the first slam was the baseline cut, the backdoor cut. He said, I think he has a 50+ game before the season is over. Dude, that'd be awesome. I would love that for him. I would love that. He said, Bonnet Clay, I had this post type before you said 40. Waiting for the play of the game to post. Zach said his play is the pass by Zakai that sparked him and the team. Let's see some of the other plays of the game that just came through. Let's see. We had Jared said Dalton throwing up that three and Santi going in for a layup while everyone on the court watched him. Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually. I like that.
I almost wondered if everybody else out there heard the slap and just assumed they were about to call the foul, and that's why nobody really did anything. Like they all just turned around and stood there.
That's fair. Let's see. Like he said, free Bert.
I believe we're going to see a calmer, gentler, milder Bert on Saturday at Alabama.
So Elijah went back and watched it. He went back and watched the play I was talking about at 4:36, and he said, "I just watched it. That's wild." Because I mean, you can literally watch the whole thing happen in real time. And I went back and did the timestamps just so I could make sure that I gave everybody the right times. 4:36, Dalton talks to the ref. 4:31, he gets foul foul called on his behalf. It's pretty wild. Carl said, can't really call a play of the game. I get so emotionally invested with the highs and lows, I black out kind of. He said, now the play that I disliked the most was the bad pass by Auburn, and ref said Zakai touched it. Oh, man, yes. Thank you. He wasn't even close to the ball. Like, he didn't even reach for it. And they said he tipped it.
What's more disturbing was they had a timeout, and they could have reviewed it during the timeout, and they didn't.
Yeah, for real. And Carl makes the best point of all here as far as that play goes. It wasn't like an inconsequential thing like, oh, well, Tennessee got the rebound. It didn't matter anyway. No, they hit a three out of that.
Yeah.
Like the freshman point guard hit a three in the corner on that play. So Carl's exactly right. Like that play cost us something. It wasn't just a gimme or a freebie. Mino, like he said, what's the money play? And Elijah said, it's where Toby and Jonas set screens for Dalton coming out of the paint. Dalton can choose which side he wants to go to, and it gets him open most of the time. Let's see.
Rick's run it for 30 years. You'll see players on the court doing this. You'll see Rick calling money from the sidelines. That's why I know that one, the backdoor dunk to Dalton was a set call, because they set up like they were running money, but Zakai motioned something else with his hand that was different than this. And so they made it look like they were running money, but then they hit the post player and then hit the backdoor cut. It was clearly a set call.
Ricky said can only review out of bounds under 2 minutes.
Yeah. I hate that rule, right, especially going into a timeout. I think they should be able to review anything. They can go back and check 2s and 3s during timeouts. So, why not let them choose everything?
I know that's an official initiated under 2 minutes, and it might be a blanket thing. I wonder if there's another scenario where if there's like I don't know. I wonder if there's another scenario. I know that that's the rule, that you can only do it under 2 minutes, but I wonder if there's another scenario where they can review. Because, I mean, like, they reviewed potential flagrant ones at one point, which was absurd. Like, there wasn't even anything near a flagrant one when they reviewed that. So there's got to be something that they could do for sure. Like you said, talk to me, Bert. She said her play of the game was these 3 at the end of the first half. Sam said Broom uses his hands to push off to get open with no calls, while Jonas gets called for standing his ground. Absolutely.
Multiple times.
Ricky asked a really good question here. He said, legitimate question, is Stephen Pearl the most hated VFL?
Yes.
He is very demonstrative on the sideline. There were twice last night where somebody didn't do something. And one time it didn't even matter. And he just lost his mind coming off the bench yelling at the player. Like one time, okay, so it was the first half. Dalton was coming. I think it was Dalton's first 3 of the game, actually. Dalton was bringing the ball down the court, and he just pulled up like out of nowhere and just drained it. And it was his first 3 of the game. I think it was 16-13 at the time. Dalton hits a 3. It made it 19-13. And Stephen Pearl jumps up off the bench and just goes off on this kid on the other side of the court. Like, it wasn't even the guy guarding Dalton. I mean, there was no way this kid could have, unless he was telling that kid he was supposed to be covering Dalton in transition defense. I don't know. But he lost his mind on that kid. I don't know what that kid did, but Stephen didn't like it. That's for sure. But yeah, I think that's a fair question. That's a fair question.
I've only met Stephen a couple of times. I can't say that either one of them were overly long conversations, but I do know 2 of Stephen's former teammates. And one of them, if he was on here right now, he would say every time the players get together, they all sit around and tell Stephen Pearl stories. The other one, if
I'm
he
sure
was
in a positive way,
not so much. And the other one, if he was on here, would say, and I've heard him say this more than once out loud, I don't know a single person who likes Stephen Pearl. So not too glowing endorsements. So I would say, yes, he is probably the most disliked VFL.
Carl said, that's a bad rule. Possession should all be reviewed. Evan said Pearl is all about emotion to change the game.
Yep.
Elijah said, on a real note, my play of the game was Tony Vitello pointing at Broom after DK drove by him for the dunk. Okay, so if you haven't seen the video, there is a video on Twitter where it was that play. Dalton drives past him, slams it home, and in the bottom left corner of the screen, you can see Tony Vitello stand up. He's got his Zakai Ziegler jersey on, and he's with both hands pointing at the Auburn players. It is quite humorous.
It was just Janai. He's pointing at Janai Broom, and part of me, I'm watching that and I'm going, oh, please don't do that. Because all I saw was Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri last week screaming at our bench, and I was like, please don't associate at that level. He got caught up in the moment. He got excited. He can't help it. He's basically still a college student, but he can't do that stuff.
Sam said there were several calls made pretty late. I thought it was our ball, and then that late call that Z touched the ball when it went out of bounds. Yeah, so that's exactly right. That call got reversed. One official said it was our ball, and then they switched it and said, nope, it's Auburn's ball. There's another call. Somebody, I can't remember who it was now, but it was a foul against Tennessee, and it was a very late call that I think the official on the sideline was expecting the official under the basket to call it. He did not. And so then as soon as he didn't, then the guy on the sideline called it. So it seemed like a really late call. So yeah, that's true. Let's see. Evan said, I wanted Tennessee to lose, but was very happy Pearl lost. Can't stand him. I love this. So as soon as you said Drinkwitz, we all of a sudden had several standing on business comments. Yeah. Carl said Josh Heupel wasn't standing on business, didn't even have a sign. That is amazing. Oh, Carl, you win. That is fantastic. Because Drink had a sign at Missouri. That from last year, I think, too, actually, is where a lot of those were from.
Yep.
Ricky said Tony V stands on business. Let's see. Elijah said the difference is Drink is just a weird guy. Tony's not.
That's true.
Sam said Rick Barnes' big character upgrade from Pearls. That's fair assessment.
That's the understatement of the year. I was part of a secondary violation with Bruce Pearl. Trust me, that is the understatement of the year.
Rustin got to witness a recruiting violation in action one time.
Bruce Pearl stood right in front of me and said out loud, I guess you can just call me a rules snob, when we confronted him about a violation he was committing with one of our players and knew he was and just didn't care.
Sam said, MIZ, we hate you. Evan said, I remember that. Dude is dirty.
Yep. Evan was in that high school at that time.
Well, in other Tennessee news this evening, the Lady Vols beat Texas A&M tonight by 9, so that was a good evening for them. And the Base Vols have a weekend series against Bowling Green and Lindsey Nelson Stadium this weekend. Let's see, tomorrow night 4:30, Saturday 5 o'clock, and Sunday at 1 o'clock. Mino, like he said, more like rules slob. Carl said Rustin's right. Tony not much different from a 7th year senior.
He's really not. He He's at every single function on campus. I think he buys front row tickets to everything. Like he's literally spending his salary on tickets at other games on campus, and concerts. He's enjoying the bachelor life.
Big Orange Vol, welcome. Good to have you. Said, I love watching our baseball team. Absolutely. I do too. Real quick, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you it's a little bit of news. So one of our sponsors, Ginger Marvelous Mouse Travels, she is a free travel agent. You can find her at gingermmt.com. She has now also started booking Royal Caribbean cruises. So Sandals beaches, Disney destinations, Universal Parks and Resorts, and now Royal Caribbean cruises as well. So if you want to check her out, you can do that at gingermmt.com. And I will put that on the screen right here. So gingermmt.com, free travel agent, like legit. It's actually free. She is actually free. So if you want to know how, I can tell you how, but really cool thing. Yeah. Carl said it's at 6:30 Friday, I think.
No.
The website says 4:30, but they might have changed it, just not updated the website.
They actually bumped it up. It was originally 6:30 and they had weather concerns. So they bumped it up to 4:30 on Friday. So they're 4:30 Friday, 5:00 Saturday, and 1:00 Sunday.
Oriole Puppy Dog, welcome, Oriole Puppy Dog. Good to have you with us. Ricky said Ginger definitely stands on business. She does. She does. Ricky is one of Ginger's clients. Ginger is fantastic at what she does. Because here's the thing, like if you go online and you like book a Royal Caribbean cruise or a Sandals resort or something, and you just book it online by yourself or Disney or whatever, they charge you the price of a travel agent, the commission that they would have paid them in, because they know you could use one potentially. So they charge you that commission to the travel agent, whether you use one or not. So if you just go on, it's the same price either way. So if you go online and book it all yourself, you're paying all that to Disney. Whereas if you use a travel agent, she does it, and then they just give her the commission that you're already paying. So if you don't use a travel agent, they just pocket the extra money. Like you paid for a travel agent, you didn't get to use one. So that's why it's free to use her. Absolutely. Let's see. Oriole Puppy Dog said, I want to win Saturday against Alabama and take sole place first. Agreed. If Tennessee beats Alabama Saturday, they would have to lose both of their next games to not win the regular season. So that's a huge deal. If they win that game, there we go. If they win that game, huge deal. Big Orange Vol said, I think our baseball team can go on a good run without losing again. In 21, were we like 30-1 at one point? So that was 2022. They were at least 30 something and 0, and then they lost in a wooden bat game in the Smoky Stadium to Tennessee Tech, and that was devastating. Let's see. Elijah said 4:30 tomorrow, but it's still going to get rained out. The turf will help a little bit. Now my camera keeps losing focus on me there. There we go. Carl said maybe it's just focusing on Todd Helton over my left shoulder since we're talking about ball baseball. Maybe that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
AI, it's taking over everything. So Carl said, yay, early is better. I agree with that. So everybody go check out gingermmt.com. Everybody go check out the volbros.com if you want some really cool shirts and stuff there, or pickleball set. We have pickleball paddles on the website, thevolbros.com. Go to shop. It's all there. Elijah said, I thought we had lost to Texas early that year, 2022. Maybe. I could be misremembering that. But easily the best team to never make the College World Series for sure. Easily the best team ever to never make the big dance there. Big Orange Vol said, Tony V, the man, Vols baseball is very exciting now. No doubt about it. He said, where we lost to somebody. Yeah, it could have been. Any comments on the BB baseball stadium? I'm assuming BB is baseball, not basketball in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Unless he's talking about Thompson Bowling being taken down off the outside, or Pratt Pavilion, all the letters taken off the outside to make room for Food City Center.
Yeah. That is definitely been mixed with not great reviews, in my opinion. People were not happy about that. As far as the baseball stadium goes, it's really kind of tough to say. Like the newest part looks great. That left field line looks great. But honestly, I don't think that we're really going to see what we've seen thus far will be nothing compared to what's coming
Yeah.
down the road whenever they hang on, I accidentally hit my earpiece and it started playing music. I don't know if y'all heard it or not.
Nope.
Oh, he was saying baseball. So what we've seen thus far down that left field line looks fantastic. I love actually the orientation of those seats down there near the bullpen. It looks really cool. But the coolest part about the whole renovation hadn't even happened yet. And that's when they redo the whole, backstop and press box area and extend the suites all the way down. That's when it's going to really look amazing.
And when they build that dorm behind the right field wall that is going to house the team, and the bottom floor is an indoor batting facility. It was funny. It was funny though in the High Point game the other day when the announcer said Tennessee now has the nicest visitors bullpen in America.
Yeah. Yep. The thing is, right now you walk up to the stadium and you still see the concrete like press box that kind of it looks like it needs to be pressure washed. As soon as that is changed, that's going to be like visually, as far as like a visual striking appearance, that's going to be the most striking thing about the stadium. And so that's going to be really cool to see that get upgraded. But obviously that didn't happen before this year. It's a baby step process. They got multi-year plans in place. So hopefully that'll be before next year, but I don't know all the sequence of the events. But I'm hoping that's the next thing that gets done. Let's see some of the last few comments that came in here. Hope the team plays like a team that realizes Dalton's window is closing. Yeah, I agree with that, Carl. Yeah, absolutely. Bionic Clay said, I will always call it Thompson Bowling Arena. I will as well. If Ricky's still watching, he had to get on to me earlier because I called it TB and he goes, the Food City Center. Let's see. Elijah said, just looked it up. We lost to Texas 7-2 in the 10th game of the season. Oh, well, there you go. Thank you for correcting me. Carl said, yeah, we lost to Texas 2022, but Texas lost to UCLA or Oklahoma, and we beat them both. Big Orange Vol said, is it just me or does it seem like good baseball players have good baseball names? Absolutely. Every sport. Absolutely.
Like
Carl said Rustin was
like Stone Wallace.
Stone Wallace, yeah. Cannon Peebles. I mean, that's a cool name.
Yep.
Carl said Rustin was right about the Canadian kid. Dude can swing it. Yes, he can. Absolutely. Okay, it was really funny. When who was it? Was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. When they were playing Albany. So when they were Villeneuve, the guy the Canadian kid, Villeneuve, he hit the ball so high that the tracker couldn't keep track of it. That was hilarious. Drew Beam, that was a good name, baseball name. Chase Dolander, absolutely. Those are all good names. Chase Burns. Absolutely. Well, this has been a blast. As always, we have a lot of fun doing this. Thank you again to Carl for that super chat earlier. That was amazing. You were the man, Carl. We really appreciate that so much. For all of you watching, thank you so much. We still got a whole bunch of people watching. I really appreciate that. Thank you for joining with us. We've had people on all three platforms tonight, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm thinking about starting an Instagram live feed as well. It's just not as easy as Facebook, X, and YouTube. Instagram likes to make things difficult. So I'm probably going to start doing that as well, but it's going to be at least another couple live shows before I decide to take the time to get it set up, because it is going to be a little bit of an involved process. So we appreciate everybody joining us. Sunday night, massive show, because we'll have 3 baseball games plus a season finale of the Lady Vols. They're at South Carolina, probably not going to be good. But we have 3 baseball games as well as a kind of an important SEC national or, regular season championship implication basketball game. Ricky said we going on MySpace.
Yes,
Shockingly, StreamYard hasn't cut a deal with MySpace yet. I'm surprised. They should have.
they haven't gotten into
Um,
that echelon.
yeah, we could do LinkedIn. We could do that. Let's see. Elijah said, "Good night, guys. Go Big Orange." Hey, we appreciate it, Elijah. Hope you have a great evening. Carl said, "You betcha." Yeah, Sunday night, man. Hope you're here. It'll be a great, great evening. Let's see. Bonnet Clay said, "See y'all later. Have a good one." Great to have you, Bonnet Clay. Glad you're with us. Big Orange Vol said, "Good night, Vol Bros. Go Big Orange." Absolutely. Go Big Orange. Ricky, I will probably see you Saturday morning if I had to guess. So we'll get that MySpace set up on Saturday. Um, uh, we
I can't
You're not going
repeat
to
it.
say. Mina Likey wants to know. Inquiring minds want to know, but we're just not
He
going to say it on this one because we don't want to.
he let slip a phrase that most would probably find humorous, but some might consider racist, and I
Yeah,
I think he probably got reprimanded this morning.
I would bet money that happened this morning. Carl said, "Thanks, bros. Sunday night is. Hey, we appreciate you, Carl, so much, man. Um, hope everybody has a great, great evening. Hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully the rain doesn't, mess up the baseball game tomorrow. If it does, then I would assume we'd see a doubleheader on Friday, starting earlier in the day, so that the game is over before the basketball game that night. That would be my guess if I had to guess on that. So, hope everybody has. Go ahead, Rustin.
It really depends on what or when. I just blanked. When Bowling Green gets in town, that's going to dictate all those scheduling issues because they schedule everything based on when they arrive as far as batting practice, all those different things, and they're close enough. They're probably driving down Friday morning. I doubt they're coming Thursday night, so that could get weird.
Like I say, good night, bros. Good night, like you. Good to have you. So here's a little bit of my superstitious thinking. The last couple times I've ended with the baseball outro because it's kind of baseball season and we've been winning. But in honor of the basketball team, I was going to use the basketball outro, but I was like, well, wait a minute, what if we lose after I do that? I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to do the basketball outro because I'm going to try to prove to myself that what I'm thinking right now is not logical.
That you're not a
If
little stitious.
Yeah, that I'm not a little stitious. If we lose Saturday night, I apologize in advance. That is my fault. So, but I hope everybody. Carl said Todd Helton new indoor baseball facility. Let's see. I thought we had something else coming. Nope, that was it. So here's to spitting in the face of superstition, and we're gonna play the basketball outro. So hope everybody has a great, great evening. Good night, everybody. Go Vols, baby. Go Vols.